6 years ago, I moved into a 5-bedroom house with 4 friends, the only guy among 4 women. We had found a massive old Victorian-style house with 5 bedrooms, worn paint, and ivy crawling up the walls, as if it were guarding the secrets of everyone who had lived there before. It was a place full of character and quirks, and we knew this was going to be home. My roommates were Emma, Sarah, Lucy, and Megan, friends I had met during my time at university. We were all at a turning point, leaving behind the carefree days of university and stepping into the unknown territory of adulthood together. Before you assume this was a dream scenario or some wild fantasy, let me clarify. Living with 4 women wasn't as glamorous or scandalous as some people might think. In fact, it was one of the most eye-opening and transformative experiences of my life. We were just a close-knit group of friends, navigating the bumpy road between college life and full-fledged adulthood, while sharing a house that probably had more quirks than all of us combined. The process of moving in was chaotic. We each brought an avalanche of stuff. Boxes upon boxes of clothes, furniture, knickknacks, and other possessions that barely fit inside. Emma, who had an extensive plant collection, managed to squeeze in her beloved greenery too. Out of the group, she was the most organized, the mom figure among us. She meticulously planned out where everyone would sleep, even creating a floor plan with designated spaces for each of us, right down to our shared areas. The first week felt like a never-ending sleepover. We ordered takeout every night, decorated the house with a mismatched assortment of furniture, and stayed up late playing board games or binge-watching Netflix. It was a honeymoon phase of sorts, filled with laughter, late-night chats, and excitement about our new chapter. But soon, the realities of cohabiting with 4 different personalities began to kick in, and the idyllic glow of our new living arrangement started to fade. Each of my roommates had their own distinct personality and lifestyle. Lucy had a wild spirit and party girl energy. She loved hosting friends late into the night, often transforming the living room into her own mini nightclub, complete with music and laughter that echoed through the house. Megan, on the other hand, was more introverted, preferring quiet evenings with a book or a cup of tea. This often clashed with Lucy's nightlife, and the silent tension between the two would be palpable the next morning. Sarah, our resident artist, was always spreading her art supplies across the dining table, which drove Emma, our neat freak, a little crazy. Emma was all about order and organization, and she couldn't stand the chaos that came with Sarah's creative mess. And then there was me, the only guy in the house. I quickly found myself trying to avoid getting caught in the crossfire of these differing personalities. Living in a co-ed house brought its own set of unspoken rules and dynamics. In a way, I became the mediator when conflicts arose over things like who left dirty dishes in the sink or who forgot to pay the electric bill. I wouldn't say I was the most mature one. Far from it. But being the only male, I felt a certain responsibility to be the calm in the storm when tensions flared. Sharing a single main bathroom between the 5 of us was another adventure. Mornings were a battlefield for bathroom time, and we had to work around each other's schedules. Emma, the early riser, somehow managed to get in and out without issue. But Sarah and Lucy were notorious for taking their time. Sarah needed a quiet, meditative moment in the shower every morning, while Lucy couldn't get ready without blasting her music and trying on at least 5 different outfits. I quickly learned that if I didn't get in early, I might not get in at all. Being the only guy had its perks too. The girls confided in me often, asking for my male perspective on everything from dating to work issues or just life in general. Initially, I felt a bit out of my depth, wondering what advice I could possibly offer on topics I hadn't experienced firsthand. But as time went on, I grew to appreciate how much they trusted me, and it made me feel like I was a real part of their lives, not just a friend, but someone they valued and relied on. Of course, sharing a house with anyone can be challenging, let alone 4 people with such different personalities. There were times when things weren't all fun and games. Disagreements were inevitable, whether over chores or schedules that clashed. For instance, Lucy's love for partying and late-night noise often clashed with Megan's need for peace and quiet. Megan would glare at Lucy with silent frustration the morning after a late night, making everyone feel the tension. One of our biggest arguments came down to groceries. Megan was a strict vegetarian, while Lucy and I were the resident carnivores. We tried to keep our groceries separate, but eventually, someone would accidentally use someone else's ingredients, sparking a new round of frustrations. It was a balancing act, and we learned as we went, sometimes through trial and error. In the end, living in that house with 4 women was an experience that changed me profoundly. I learned about communication, compromise, and respecting other people's needs. I realized that adulthood isn't about having everything figured out. It's about being able to navigate the chaos with people around you, learning from each other, and growing together one quirky moment at a time. When we first moved in together, things started off with minor annoyances that grew over time. Initially, it was something as simple as someone forgetting to replace a carton of eggs. But after a few weeks, the issues became much bigger. One day, Megan accused Lucy of using her organic tofu, which Lucy vehemently denied. I found myself caught in the middle, standing with a sandwich in my hand, wondering if I had unknowingly eaten the last of Megan's avocado. That's when we decided we needed a proper house meeting. This wasn't just a casual chat over dinner. It was a formal sit-down in the living room, and it was clear we had a lot to talk about. Emma, always the most level-headed among us, took charge and guided the conversation like a skilled diplomat. She made sure everyone felt comfortable enough to speak openly, and while it was a little awkward at first, we all understood the importance of clearing the air. We talked about boundaries, respect, and how to make our living arrangements more manageable for everyone. From that point on, we became better at communicating, though there were still moments when things got a little heated. Most of the time, however, we managed to live in harmony. Life in a house with 4 women might sound like it would lead to romantic entanglements, but surprisingly it didn't, at least not within our group. We all dated other people, and sometimes we brought our dates home, which made for a few awkward moments. Lucy, with her lively personality, always seemed to have a new guy in her life. It was amusing to see her navigate the ups and downs of her dating experiences. Some days, she'd come home glowing after a great date, while other times, she'd burst through the door, slam it shut, and declare that all men were trash. Megan, on the other hand, had a steady boyfriend. Their relationship was calm and stable, which was a refreshing contrast to the drama that seemed to surround everyone else's love lives. They often enjoyed quiet dinners at the house or went away on weekend getaways, which made the rest of us feel a little envious at times. Her relationship was like the eye of a storm amidst the chaos of our other dating stories. As for me, I dated a few women over those years, though none of my relationships lasted very long. The girls in the house often offered me advice, whether I wanted it or not. Sometimes, their tips were genuinely helpful, and other times, they were more humorous than anything. Sarah, always a thoughtful one, would tell me to seek deeper emotional connections, while Lucy would encourage me to just go for it and stop overthinking things. Living with 4 women taught me a lot about dating from a different perspective, even if it was sometimes more insight than I was ready for. 3 years passed in a flash, and during that time, each of our lives changed in ways we couldn't have predicted. Emma got engaged to her longtime boyfriend, and we all got involved in planning her wedding. We threw her an unforgettable bridal shower with a beautiful cake made by Sarah and a wild night out organized by Lucy. Sarah's art career took off, and she received an offer for an art residency abroad. While we were thrilled for her, it was bittersweet watching her pack her art supplies and head off to pursue her dreams. She was the creative soul of the house, always encouraging us to embrace our passions and think outside the box. Without her, the house felt a little less vibrant. Megan's career in counseling also blossomed, and she eventually moved in with her boyfriend after landing a position at a prestigious practice. Megan had always been the quiet support in our group, offering thoughtful advice and a compassionate ear when things got tough. Even after she moved across town, she would visit us regularly, often bringing baked goods or something else to brighten our day. Lucy, the eternal party girl, found her calling in event planning, a career that perfectly suited her energy and enthusiasm. She moved to a new city to start fresh, but she was still the same old Lucy, often calling us in the middle of the night to share her latest wild story. As for me, I settled into my career in digital marketing, steadily climbing the ranks and finding success I hadn't anticipated. Eventually, I moved out into my own apartment, and it was a huge adjustment to go from a lively, bustling home filled with laughter and conversation to the quiet solitude of living alone. While I missed the lively atmosphere of the house, I knew it was time for all of us to move on to the next chapter of our lives. Looking back now, I realized just how much those 3 years shaped me. Living with 4 women taught me invaluable lessons about communication, compromise, and the importance of understanding perspectives different from my own. We weren't just roommates. We had become a family. Even though our lives have since taken us in different directions, we still keep in touch. Weddings, baby showers, milestone birthdays, all these moments bring us back together. No matter where we go, that house will always be a part of who we are. It was a place where we found our footing, learned about ourselves, and discovered who we wanted to become. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and I'll always be grateful for that time in my life.